Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a young girl named Ella. She was known by the nickname Cinderella, given to her by her wicked stepsisters who made her do all the chores in their grand mansion. Despite the hardships, Ella remained kind-hearted and hopeful, finding solace in her secret garden where she tended to the flowers and talked to the birds. One day, an invitation arrived at the mansion. It was for a royal ball hosted by the prince in search of a bride. Ella's stepsisters were ecstatic, planning their dresses and hairstyles for the grand event. However, they had no intention of letting Cinderella attend. They assigned her extra chores, ensuring she would have no time to prepare. As the day of the ball approached, Cinderella's heart grew heavy with longing. She desperately wished to attend, if only for a moment, to escape her dreary existence. In her garden, she whispered her dreams to the flowers, unaware that someone was listening. To her surprise, a fairy godmother appeared before her, her shimmering gown adorned with stars. With a wave of her wand, she transformed a pumpkin into a magnificent carriage, mice into horses, and Cinderella's rags into a breathtaking gown. "Go, my dear," the fairy godmother said, her voice as soft as a summer breeze. "But remember, the magic will fade at midnight." With gratitude in her heart, Cinderella set off for the ball, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. As she arrived, she captured the attention of all who beheld her beauty, including the prince himself. They danced together under the starlit sky, lost in the enchantment of the moment. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, the stepsisters seethed with jealousy as they watched Cinderella's triumph from afar. Determined to steal her moment of happiness, they plotted to expose her true identity. As the clock struck midnight, Cinderella's joy turned to panic, and she fled from the palace, leaving behind a single glass slipper. The prince, enchanted by her beauty, searched the kingdom for the mysterious maiden who had captured his heart. When he arrived at Cinderella's mansion, her stepsisters tried to force their oversized feet into the delicate slipper, but it was futile. Just as all hope seemed lost, Cinderella emerged from the shadows, her face flushed with emotion. With trembling hands, she slipped her foot into the glass slipper, and it fit perfectly. The prince, overjoyed to have found his true love, declared Cinderella as his bride-to-be. And so Cinderella's secret garden became a place of legend where dreams took flight and love conquered all. From that day forth, she ruled by the prince's side, her kindness and grace inspiring all who knew her. And though her days of hardship were behind her, Cinderella never forgot the magic of her secret garden, where a simple girl's dreams had blossomed into a fairy tale come true. In a kingdom nestled between towering mountains and lush forests, there lived a queen named Snow White. Her beauty was renowned throughout the land, but it was her kindness and gentle heart that endeared her to all who knew her. Snow White's mother, the queen, had passed away when she was just a child, leaving her in the care of her father, the king. Despite his love for his daughter, the king was often away on royal duties, leaving Snow White feeling lonely in the vast palace. One day, a new queen arrived at the palace, bewitching the king with her beauty and charm. But the new queen's heart was cold and filled with jealousy, especially when she looked upon Snow White's innocence and grace. The queen possessed a magical mirror, gifted to her by a sorceress long ago. Each day, she would stand before the mirror and ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And each day, the mirror would reply, "You, my queen, are the fairest in the land." But as Snow White blossomed into a young woman, the mirror's answer changed. "Snow White, dear Snow White, is the fairest of them all," it proclaimed, much to the queen's dismay. Filled with rage and envy, the queen ordered her huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and end her life. But the huntsman, moved by Snow White's kindness, could not bring himself to harm her. Instead, he let her go, warning her to flee deep into the forest and never return. Lost and alone, Snow White wandered through the forest until she stumbled upon a quaint cottage hidden among the trees. Inside, she found 7 tiny beds and a table set with 7 mismatched chairs. Realizing the cottage belonged to 7 dwarfs who worked in the nearby mines, Snow White decided to stay and make herself useful. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the queen's jealousy grew ever more consuming. She could not bear the thought of Snow White still alive and fairer than she. So she devised a plan to rid herself of her rival once and for all. Disguising herself as an old peddler woman, the queen crafted a poisoned apple and set out for the dwarf's cottage. When she arrived, she offered the apple to Snow White, who innocently took a bite and fell into a deep slumber. The dwarfs returned home to find Snow White lying motionless on the ground. Grief-stricken, they built a glass coffin and placed her inside, keeping eternal vigil over their beloved friend. Years passed, and the forest reclaimed the cottage, hiding it from the world. But one day, a young prince stumbled upon a hidden glade and beheld the sleeping beauty inside the glass coffin. Enchanted by her beauty, he leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss to her lips. To his amazement, Snow White stirred from her slumber, her eyes fluttering open as she gazed up at the prince. With joy in their hearts, they returned to the palace, where the prince declared Snow White his true love and rightful queen. As for the wicked queen, her jealousy had consumed her completely, leaving her a mere shell of her former self. And though she had once possessed the most powerful magic in the land, it was ultimately the purity of Snow White's heart that triumphed over darkness, bringing light and love back to the kingdom once more. In a kingdom nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived a king and queen who longed for a child. The wish was granted one sunny morning when a beautiful baby girl was born. They named her Aurora, and her arrival brought joy and celebration to the entire kingdom. To honor their daughter's birth, the king and queen invited all the fairies in the land to bestow blessings upon the newborn princess. But they made a grave mistake by forgetting to invite one particular fairy, an ancient enchantress who dwelled deep within the heart of the forest. Angered by the slight, the enchantress appeared uninvited at the grand feast, her eyes flashing with fury. In her hand, she held a spindle made of gleaming silver. With a voice like thunder, she cursed the infant princess. On your 16th birthday, you shall prick your finger on a spindle and fall into an eternal slumber, she declared. And the entire kingdom shall sleep alongside you until true love's kiss awakens you from your enchanted sleep. With a wicked cackle, the enchantress vanished into thin air, leaving the king and queen horrified and grief-stricken. Determined to protect their beloved daughter, the king and queen ordered all spindles in the kingdom to be destroyed and forbade anyone from mentioning the curse. Aurora grew up in ignorance of her fate, surrounded by love and sheltered from the darkness that loomed over her. But fate has a way of unfolding as it will. On the eve of Aurora's 16th birthday, she stumbled upon a hidden chamber in the palace, where an old spinning wheel lay forgotten in the shadows. Curiosity getting the better of her, she reached out to touch the spindle, pricking her finger and fulfilling the enchantress's curse. As Aurora fell into a deep slumber, a thick blanket of sleep descended upon the kingdom, enveloping it in silence and stillness. The king and queen wept for their daughter, knowing that only true love's kiss could break the curse and awaken her from her enchanted sleep. Years passed, and the kingdom became shrouded in legend and mystery. Brave knights ventured forth in search of the sleeping princess, but none could penetrate the impenetrable thicket of thorns that surrounded the palace. One day, a young prince arrived at the edge of the forest, drawn by tales of the sleeping beauty, and the kingdom lost to time. With courage in his heart, he fought his way through the thorns until he reached the palace's grand gates. Inside, he found Aurora lying upon a bed of flowers, her beauty untouched by the passage of time. Moved by her innocence and grace, the prince leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss to her lips. To his amazement, Aurora stirred from her slumber, her eyes fluttering open as she gazed up at the prince. With joy in their hearts, they emerged from the palace, where the kingdom lay bathed in the warm light of dawn. As Aurora and the prince embraced, the enchantress's curse was lifted, and the kingdom awoke from its enchanted sleep. The king and queen rejoiced at their daughter's awakening, and the entire kingdom celebrated with feasting and merriment. And so, true love's kiss triumphed over darkness, bringing light and happiness back to the kingdom once more. As Aurora and the prince ruled side by side, their love became a beacon of hope for all who knew them, proving that even the deepest slumber cannot dim the power of true love. In a quaint village nestled among rolling hills, there lived a kind and intelligent young woman named Belle. She spent her days lost in the pages of books, dreaming of adventures beyond the confines of her small town. One fateful day, Belle's father Morris set out on a journey to sell his wares at the market. Lost in a dense forest, he stumbled upon a magnificent castle hidden amidst the trees. Seeking shelter from the cold, he entered the castle, unaware of the dark secret that lay within. The master of the castle was a beast, cursed by an enchantress for his selfishness and cruelty. He lived alone, his once grand halls now empty and desolate. When the beast discovered Morris trespassing in his castle, he locked him away in the dungeon, condemning him to a life of captivity. But Belle, worried for her father's safety, set out to find him, following his trail deep into the forest. Upon arriving at the castle, Belle pleaded with the beast to release her father. Touched by her bravery and compassion, the beast agreed to set Morris free under one condition: Belle must take his place as his prisoner. Reluctantly, Belle agreed, sacrificing her freedom to save her father. As days turned into weeks, Belle discovered that the beast was not as fearsome as he appeared. Despite his gruff exterior, he possessed a gentle heart and a love for the beauty of the world. As Belle tended to the castle and cared for the beast, she began to see beyond his monstrous facade, finding warmth and kindness beneath. And though the beast remained under the curse's grip, a spark of hope ignited within him, fueled by Belle's unwavering belief in the power of love. Meanwhile, back in the village, Morris recounted his tale of the cursed castle, but no one believed his fantastical story. Determined to rescue his daughter, he set out with the village's bravest souls to confront the beast. But when they arrived at the castle, they were met not by a fearsome beast, but by a broken-hearted creature longing for redemption. Moved by Belle's love and sacrifice, they realized that true beauty lies not in outward appearance, but in the depths of the soul. As Belle and the beast shared a tender moment beneath the castle's enchanted rose, the curse was broken, and the beast transformed back into a handsome prince. The once desolate halls of the castle burst into life as the curse's hold was lifted, and the village rejoiced at the return of their beloved prince. With love and forgiveness in their hearts, Belle and the prince embarked on a new chapter of their lives together, their bond stronger than ever before. And as they danced beneath the stars, the enchanted rose bloomed once more, a symbol of love's enduring magic and the power of redemption. In a peaceful village nestled at the edge of a dark and mysterious forest, there lived a young girl named Rosalind, affectionately known as Little Red Riding Hood for the vibrant crimson cloak she wore on her adventures. Rosalind was known for her bravery and adventurous spirit, often exploring the forest's depths despite the warnings of her grandmother. One sunny morning, Rosalind's grandmother fell ill, and her mother asked Rosalind to deliver a basket of goodies to her cottage deep in the heart of the forest. With her cloak wrapped tightly around her, Rosalind set out on her journey, her heart pounding with excitement. As Rosalind ventured deeper into the forest, she noticed the trees growing thicker and the shadows growing longer. But she paid no heed to the eerie silence that enveloped her, determined to reach her grandmother's cottage before nightfall. Suddenly, a voice called out from the shadows, startling Rosalind. There was a cunning Wolf, his eyes gleaming with hunger as he approached her. "Where are you off to, little girl?" the Wolf asked, his voice dripping with deceit. Rosalind, undaunted by the Wolf's menacing presence, replied, "I'm on my way to my grandmother's cottage to bring her some goodies. But I have no time to chat with you, Mr. Wolf." With a sly grin, the Wolf suggested a shortcut through the darkest part of the forest, promising Rosalind that it would save her time. But Rosalind, sensing the Wolf's true intentions, politely declined, choosing instead to follow the path her mother had instructed her to take. Enraged by her defiance, the Wolf concocted a plan to reach the grandmother's cottage before Rosalind and feast on her unsuspecting prey. He dashed through the forest, his eyes fixed on the cottage in the distance. Meanwhile, Rosalind continued on her journey, her heart pounding with each step. As she approached her grandmother's cottage, she noticed the door ajar and the sound of heavy breathing coming from inside. Concerned for her grandmother's well-being, Rosalind cautiously entered the cottage, only to find the Wolf lying in wait, his sharp teeth bared in a sinister grin. Without hesitation, Rosalind sprang into action, grabbing a nearby hunting knife and facing the Wolf head-on. With courage and cunning, she outsmarted the Wolf, using her wit and resourcefulness to outmaneuver him at every turn. In a final act of bravery, Rosalind lunged forward, driving the hunting knife deep into the Wolf's heart and saving herself and her grandmother from certain doom. As the Wolf lay defeated at her feet, Rosalind embraced her grandmother, relieved that they were both safe and sound. Together, they celebrated Rosalind's bravery and quick thinking, knowing that her courage had saved them from a terrible fate. From that day forth, Rosalind was hailed as the bravest huntress in the land, her story passed down through generations as a testament to the power of courage, wit, and kindness. And though the forest remained a place of mystery and danger, Rosalind continued to explore its depths, fearlessly blazing her own path and inspiring all who crossed her way. In a small village on the outskirts of a dense forest, there lived the siblings named Hansel and Gretel. Their parents, struggling to make ends meet, could barely afford to feed them. One winter, as food grew scarce, their stepmother devised a plan to rid herself of the children. Leading them deep into the forest, the stepmother pretended to gather berries, then suddenly disappeared, leaving Hansel and Gretel alone and lost. Determined to find their way home, the siblings wandered deeper into the forest until they stumbled upon a strange cottage made entirely of gingerbread and candy. Hungry and exhausted, Hansel and Gretel approached the cottage, their mouths watering at the sight of the sugary treats adorning its walls. But as they reached out to take a bite, the door creaked open, revealing an old woman with a twisted smile. Come in, my dears," the old woman crooned, her voice dripping with sweetness. "You must be hungry. I have plenty of treats to share." Unaware of the old woman's true intentions, Hansel and Gretel eagerly followed her inside, feasting on the delicious candies and cakes that lined the tables. But as night fell, the old woman's true nature was revealed. She was a wicked witch who lured children to her cottage with promises of sweets, only to fatten them up and cook them in her giant oven. Hansel and Gretel, realizing the danger they were in, devised a plan to outsmart the witch and escape her clutches. While the witch busied herself preparing the oven, Hansel and Gretel pushed her inside, slamming the door shut and locking her inside. With the witch defeated, they searched the cottage for clues on how to find their way home. To their surprise, they discovered a map hidden beneath a pile of candy wrappers, leading them through the forest and back to their village. With newfound determination, Hansel and Gretel set off on their journey, leaving the witch's cottage behind them. As they emerged from the forest, they were greeted by the warm embrace of their parents, who had been searching for them since they disappeared. Overjoyed at their safe return, their parents vowed to never let them out of their sight again, cherishing every moment they had together as a family. And though the memory of their harrowing adventure in the forest would linger in their minds, Hansel and Gretel knew that they were stronger together, their bond as siblings unbreakable in the face of adversity. Once upon a time, in a kingdom surrounded by lush forests and rolling hills, there stood a magnificent tower hidden deep within the woods. In this tower dwelled a beautiful young girl named Rapunzel, her long golden hair cascading down like a waterfall. Rapunzel had been raised by an enchantress who had taken her from her parents as a baby. The enchantress, fearing Rapunzel's beauty would attract suitors, locked her away in the tower, never allowing her to venture beyond its walls. Despite her isolation, Rapunzel remained hopeful, finding solace in the beauty of the world outside her window. One day, a handsome prince happened upon the tower while exploring the woods. Mesmerized by Rapunzel's enchanting voice, he approached the tower and called out to her. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," he cried, hoping to catch a glimpse of the mysterious girl within. To his surprise, Rapunzel lowered her long golden hair, allowing the prince to climb up to the tower. As he entered the tower, their eyes met, and they were instantly drawn to each other. Over time, the prince and Rapunzel grew to love one another, their hearts intertwined like the vines that encircled the tower. But their happiness was short-lived, for the enchantress soon discovered their secret meetings and flew into a rage. In her fury, the enchantress banished the prince from the tower and cast Rapunzel out into the wilderness, leaving her to fend for herself. Alone and afraid, Rapunzel wandered through the forest, her heart heavy with sorrow. But as she walked, she discovered that she possessed a strength and resilience she never knew she had. With determination in her heart, Rapunzel set out to find her prince, braving the dangers of the forest in search of true love. Meanwhile, the prince, devastated by Rapunzel's banishment, searched far and wide for her, determined to reunite with his beloved. Through treacherous terrain and dark forests, he journeyed, guided only by the memory of Rapunzel's sweet voice. Eventually, their paths crossed once more, and they were reunited in a tender embrace, their love stronger than ever before. Together, they faced the challenges of the world, knowing that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. And so Rapunzel and the prince embarked on a new adventure together, their love illuminating the darkest corners of the world and proving that even in the face of adversity, true love will always find a way to prevail. Once upon a time, in a humble village nestled at the foot of a towering mountain, lived a young boy named Jack. Jack lived with his widowed mother, who worked tirelessly to provide for them both. But despite their hardships, Jack was filled with an adventurous spirit and a desire for something more than their simple life. One day, Jack's mother sent him to the market to sell their only cow. Along the way, Jack encountered a mysterious old man who offered him a handful of magic seeds in exchange for the cow. Intrigued by the stranger's offer, Jack agreed and hurried home to show his mother. But when Jack's mother saw the seemingly worthless seeds, she was furious, scolding him for trading their cow for nothing but a handful of beans. Disheartened, Jack retreated to his room, wondering if he had made a terrible mistake. That night, as Jack lay tossing and turning in his bed, something miraculous happened. Outside his window, the magic seeds began to sprout, growing into a towering beanstalk that stretched high into the sky. Filled with wonder and excitement, Jack climbed the beanstalk, ascending higher and higher until he reached a magnificent castle in the clouds. Inside the castle, he discovered a vast treasure trove guarded by a fearsome giant. Undeterred by the giant's size, Jack used his wits and cunning to outsmart him, narrowly escaping with a bag full of gold coins and jewels. As he descended the beanstalk and returned home, Jack couldn't wait to share his newfound wealth with his mother. Overjoyed by their good fortune, Jack and his mother lived in comfort and happiness, using the treasure to improve their lives and help those in need. And though the magic seeds had brought them riches beyond their wildest dreams, it was Jack's courage and determination that truly made their dreams come true. From that day forth, Jack and his mother lived happily ever after, their stories serving as a reminder that sometimes the greatest adventures begin with a single seed of hope. In a serene pond nestled within a peaceful forest, there lived a family of ducks. Among them was a duckling unlike the others, with feathers of a dull gray hue and a beak that seemed slightly misshapen. The other ducklings would often tease and mock him, calling him ugly and unwanted. Feeling out of place and unloved, the duckling spent his days wandering the pond alone, longing for acceptance and belonging. But no matter how hard he tried, he could never seem to fit in with the other ducks. As time passed, the seasons changed, and the duckling watched in awe as the forest transformed around him. But while the trees shed their leaves and the flowers bloomed anew, the duckling remained unchanged, his appearance as dull and unremarkable as ever. One day, as winter gave way to spring, the duckling encountered a beautiful swan gliding gracefully across the pond. Mesmerized by her elegance and beauty, he approached her tentatively, his heart pounding with anticipation. To his surprise, the swan welcomed him with kindness and warmth, seeing past his rough exterior to the gentle soul within. She told him that he was not a duck at all, but a swan destined for greatness and beauty beyond his wildest dreams. With the swan's guidance and encouragement, the duckling embarked on a journey of self-discovery, embracing his true identity and learning to see himself as the magnificent creature he truly was. As the days passed, the duckling's feathers began to change, their dull gray hue giving way to shimmering white plumage. His once misshapen beak transformed into a graceful curve, and he discovered a strength and grace within himself that he never knew existed. Embracing his newfound identity, the swan soared to new heights, his wings carrying him across the sky with a sense of freedom and purpose he had never known before. And as he looked down upon the pond below, he realized that true beauty lies not in outward appearance, but in the courage to embrace one's true self. From that day forth, the swan lived his life with pride and confidence, his journey serving as a reminder that even the most unlikely of creatures can find their place in the world. And as he soared through the endless blue sky, he knew that his story was just beginning, filled with endless possibilities and boundless beauty. In a grand kingdom ruled by an eccentric emperor, there lived the cunning weavers named Lars and Bjorn. These weavers were known far and wide for their skill in crafting the finest fabrics in all the land. But they were also known for their mischievous nature and love of trickery. One day, Lars and Bjorn hatched a plan to deceive the emperor and the entire kingdom. They claimed to have invented a fabric so extraordinary that it was invisible to anyone unworthy of their position or simple-minded. Intrigued by the prospect of owning such magnificent garments, the emperor eagerly commissioned Lars and Bjorn to create the invisible fabric for him. Little did he know, the weavers had concocted a clever scheme to line their pockets with gold. For days, the weavers pretended to work diligently on the fabric, weaving invisible threads on their looms and exclaiming over its beauty and quality. The emperor, anxious to see the finished product, sent his most trusted advisors to inspect the fabric. But when the advisors arrived at Lars and Bjorn's workshop, they saw nothing on the looms but empty frames. Fearing the consequences of admitting they could not see the fabric, they praised its beauty and quality, pretending to admire the invisible threads. Word spread throughout the kingdom of the extraordinary fabric, and soon the emperor himself went to see the invisible garments for himself. When Lars and Bjorn presented the emperor with the robe, he marveled at its elegance and splendor, despite seeing nothing before him. Feigning satisfaction, the emperor paraded through the streets wearing his invisible robe, believing himself to be adorned in the finest attire imaginable. The people of the kingdom, afraid of being labeled as unworthy or simple-minded, cheered and applauded the emperor's invisible finery. But as the emperor strutted through the streets, a small voice spoke out from the crowd. It was a child, innocent and unafraid, who exclaimed, "But the emperor is naked." At first, a hush fell over the crowd as they realized the truth of the child's words. But soon, laughter erupted throughout the kingdom as the absurdity of the situation became clear. Embarrassed and humiliated, the emperor hurried back to his palace, his invisible robe forgotten. Lars and Bjorn, realizing their deceit had been uncovered, fled the kingdom in disgrace, leaving behind a lesson learned about the folly of pride and the importance of honesty. And though the kingdom returned to its usual routine, the tale of the emperor's invisible robe served as a reminder that true greatness lies not in the trappings of wealth or power, but in the honesty and integrity of one's character. In a kingdom beneath the waves, where coral castles gleamed and schools of fish danced in the gentle currents, there lived a mermaid named Marina. Marina had always been enchanted by the world above the surface, where the sun painted the sky with hues of gold and where stars twinkled in the midnight blue. She would often swim to the edge of her kingdom, gazing longingly at the distant horizon. One moonlit night, As Marina rested on a bed of pearls, she heard the distant strains of music carried on the ocean breeze. Curious, she followed the melodious notes until she came upon a ship sailing above. On its deck stood a prince, his eyes alight with joy as he played a violin, the music weaving through the air like a spell. Marina was entranced by the prince's music, and she found herself drawn closer to the ship than she had ever dared before. As she listened, her heart stirred with a longing she could not name. But her reverie was shattered when a sudden storm arose, fierce waves crashing against the ship and tossing the prince overboard. Without hesitation, Marina swam to his rescue, cradling him in her arms and carrying him to the safety of a nearby cove. There she watched over him as he slept, his face peaceful in the soft glow of the moon. When the prince awoke, he found himself gazing into Marina's eyes, the depths of which held a wisdom and kindness beyond compare. Grateful for her aid, he vowed to repay her in any way he could. But Marina knew that her love for the prince could never be, for she was but a humble mermaid bound to the sea. With a heavy heart, she bade him farewell, slipping beneath the waves and disappearing into the depths. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of the mermaid haunted the prince's dreams. Unable to forget her gentle touch or the haunting melody of her voice, he resolved to find her once more, no matter the cost. Driven by love and determination, the prince embarked on a perilous journey, seeking out every corner of the ocean in search of his elusive savior. Along the way, he encountered creatures both wondrous and terrifying, but he pressed on, fueled by the hope of reuniting with the one who had captured his heart. Meanwhile, Marina could not shake the memory of the prince from her mind. Though she knew their love could never be, she found herself yearning for him more with each passing day. And so she made a decision that would change the course of her fate forever. With the help of her friends, a wise old sea turtle and a playful pot of dolphins, Marina sought out the sea, which a powerful sorceress rumored to possess the ability to grant any wish. Bargaining with the sea, which was a dangerous game, for her magic came with a price. But Marina was willing to risk everything for the chance to be with the prince, even if it meant sacrificing her voice and her freedom. In exchange for her voice, the sea which granted Marina legs that shimmered like pearls, allowing her to walk on land and seek out the prince once more. But there was a catch. If she could not win the prince's love within 3 days, she would be transformed into sea foam, doomed to vanish into the depths forever. Undeterred, Marina emerged from the ocean and set out to find the prince, her heart pounding with hope and fear. As she wandered through the kingdom above, she encountered all manner of wonders, towering castles, bustling markets, and forests alive with magic. But try as she might, Marina could not find the prince, and with each passing hour, her time grew shorter. Desperate, she sought out the one person who might be able to help her, the prince's betrothed. At first, the princess was wary of Marina, sensing a rival for her beloved's affections. But as Marina pleaded her case, the princess saw the truth in her eyes and took pity on her plight. Together, they devised a plan to reunite Marina with the prince, even if it meant sacrificing their own happiness in the process. On the eve of the 3rd day, Marina finally found the prince, his heart heavy with sorrow as he prepared to wed the princess. With tears in her eyes, she threw herself at his feet, offering him a single white rose as a token of her love. Moved by her sacrifice, the prince took Marina in his arms, declaring his love for her before all who had gathered to witness the wedding. And in that moment, the spell was broken, and Marina's voice returned to her, more beautiful than ever. Together, the prince and Marina danced beneath the stars, their love shining brighter than any constellation in the sky. And though their journey had been fraught with peril and uncertainty, they knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome any obstacle that stood in their way. And so the prince and Marina lived happily ever after, their love enduring for all eternity, a testament to the power of hope, courage, and the magic of true love. In a quaint cottage nestled among fields of vibrant flowers, there lived an elderly woman who longed for a child of her own. One spring day, as she tended to her garden, she discovered a tiny girl no bigger than her thumb nestled within the petals of a tulip. Delighted, the woman named the girl Lily, for she was as delicate and beautiful as the flower from which she had sprung. Lily's days were spent exploring the wonders of the garden, her heart brimming with curiosity and joy. She danced among the blossoms, made friends with the woodland creatures, and basked in the warm embrace of the sun. But as summer faded into autumn, the days grew colder, and the flowers wilted and faded away. Fearing for Lily's safety, the elderly woman fashioned a snug bed from a walnut shell and placed it atop a bed of soft moss where Lily could sleep through the long winter months. As the snow fell and the world outside turned to ice, Lily dreamed of warmer days, longing to feel the sun's gentle rays upon her skin once more. And though she found solace in the company of her animal friends, she could not shake the feeling of loneliness that gnawed at her heart. But then, one frosty morning, as the first buds of spring began to peek through the snow, Lily awoke to a wonderful surprise. For nestled beside her in the walnut shell was a tiny prince, no larger than she, his eyes as blue as the sky and his smile as warm as the sun. The prince had been enchanted by Lily's beauty and kindness and had journeyed from his kingdom in search of her. Overjoyed at their reunion, Lily and the prince danced among the newly blossoming flowers, their laughter filling the air like music. Together they explored the wonders of the garden, their love growing stronger with each passing day. And as the seasons changed and the years passed by, Lily and the prince remained by each other's side, their bond unbreakable and their hearts forever entwined. And so the tiny girl who had once been no bigger than a thumb found happiness beyond her wildest dreams, her life a testament to the power of love, friendship, and the magic of believing in oneself. In the heart of an ancient forest, surrounded by whispering willows and shimmering ponds, there stood a grand manor known as Lillipond. Within its walls lived a young princess named Isabella, whose heart was as pure as the morning dew and whose laughter echoed through the halls like the sweetest melody. One fateful evening, as Isabella wandered through the forest, she stumbled upon a frog trapped beneath a tangle of thorns. Moved by pity, she freed the frog and carried him back to the manor, where she placed him in a golden basin filled with cool, clear water. To her surprise, the frog spoke, his voice gentle and kind. He thanked Isabella for her kindness and vowed to repay her in any way he could. Intrigued, Isabella listened as the frog told her of a curse that had been placed upon him by an evil sorceress, condemning him to live as a frog until he was kissed by a princess who truly loved him. Though Isabella was taken aback by the frog's tale, she felt a stirring of compassion within her heart. Determined to help him, she promised to keep him safe within the walls of Lillipond Manor until they could find a way to break the curse. Days turned into weeks, and Isabella grew fond of the frog, sharing her secrets and dreams with him as they explored the gardens and danced beneath the moonlit sky. And though she knew that others would scoff at her affection for a lowly frog, she could not deny the bond that had formed between them. But as time passed, Isabella began to wonder if the frog's curse could ever be broken. Doubt crept into her mind, and she found herself torn between her loyalty to the frog and the expectations of her kingdom. One evening, as Isabella sat by the edge of the pond, her heart heavy with uncertainty, she heard a rustling in the bushes nearby. To her astonishment, a handsome prince emerged from the shadows, his eyes alight with curiosity as he gazed upon Isabella's radiant beauty. In that moment, Isabella knew that her fate was sealed. For though the prince's arrival brought hope of a brighter future, it also spelled the end of her time with the frog, who had become dearer to her than she could have ever imagined. With a heavy heart, Isabella bid farewell to the frog, knowing that she could not forsake her duty to her kingdom. And as she embraced the prince, her mind filled with visions of grand balls and royal splendor, she could not shake the memory of the gentle creature she had left behind. But as Isabella danced beneath the starlit sky with the prince by her side, a single tear fell from her eye and landed upon the lily pad where the frog had once rested. And in that moment, a wondrous transformation occurred. For the curse that had bound the frog was broken, and in his place stood a handsome prince, his eyes filled with love and gratitude as he gazed upon Isabella's tear-streaked face. With joy in their hearts, Isabella and the prince returned to Lilliput Manor, where they were married beneath the canopy of the ancient forest, their love shining brighter than the stars above. And as they danced beneath the moonlight, surrounded by the laughter of their friends and the whispers of the forest, they knew that their love would endure for all eternity, a testament to the power of kindness, compassion, and the magic of true love. In a distant kingdom where tall mountains kissed the sky and emerald forests stretched as far as the eye could see, there lived a humble weaver named Elara. Elara's fingers were nimble, her skill unmatched, and she wove the most exquisite fabrics in all the land. But despite her talent, Elara lived a life of poverty, struggling to make ends meet in the small cottage she called home. Each day, she toiled at her loom, dreaming of a better life for herself and her aging mother. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and shadows danced upon the walls, a mysterious visitor appeared at Elara's door. He was a strange little man, with a crooked smile and eyes that gleamed like molten gold. "I have heard of your talent, weaver," he said, his voice as smooth as silk. "And I have a proposition for you." Intrigued, Elara invited the man inside, where he revealed his offer. He would provide her with an endless supply of the finest gold thread imaginable, enough to weave the most magnificent fabric the world had ever seen. In return, Elara would promise him her firstborn child. At first, Elara recoiled at the thought of such a bargain. But as the man spun tales of wealth and prosperity beyond her wildest dreams, she found herself tempted by the promise of a better life. And so with a heavy heart, she agreed to the man's terms, sealing their pact with a solemn vow. Days turned into weeks, and Elara's loom worked tirelessly, weaving golden threads into fabric so pure and radiant it seemed to glow with its own inner light. News of her miraculous creations spread far and wide, and soon merchants from across the kingdom flocked to her door, eager to purchase her wares. With each passing day, Elara's wealth grew, and she found herself living a life of luxury beyond anything she had ever imagined. But as the years went by, a shadow of guilt lingered in her heart, for she knew that her newfound fortune had come at a terrible price. And so when the time came for her to fulfill her end of the bargain, Elara found herself torn between her love for her child and her fear of the consequences should she break her vow. But as she gazed upon her newborn daughter's face, her heart filled with a love so fierce and powerful that she knew she could never part with her child, no matter the cost. Desperate for a way to escape her fate, Elara sought out the help of a wise old woman who dwelled deep within the heart of the forest. With tears in her eyes, she begged the woman for a solution to her dilemma, praying for a way to break the curse that bound her to the mysterious man. The old woman listened to Elara's tale with a knowing smile, and she whispered words of ancient magic that filled the air with a shimmering light. With a wave of her hand, she cast a spell upon the golden threads that bound Elara's fate, unraveling their hold upon her and setting her free from the pact she had made. And so Elara returned home to her daughter, her heart overflowing with gratitude for the kindness of the old woman and the love of her child. Though she knew that she would never forget the price she had paid for her wealth, she also knew that her daughter's laughter was worth more than all the gold in the world. And as they lived out their days in peace and happiness, surrounded by the warmth of their love, they knew that no amount of riches could ever compare to the joy of a mother's embrace and the magic of a family united. In a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush green meadows, there lived a humble miller and his 3 sons. When the miller passed away, he left his eldest son the mill, his second son the donkey, and his youngest son, Jack, only a cat. Disheartened by his seemingly meager inheritance, Jack was on the brink of despair until the cat approached him with a plan. "Fear not, dear master," the cat said with a sly grin. "For with my cunning and your trust, we shall rise to greatness together." Jack, though skeptical, agreed to the cat's proposal, and thus began their extraordinary adventure. The clever cat, whom Jack had affectionately named Whiskers, wasted no time in setting their plan in motion. With a twinkle in his eye and a spring in his step, Whiskers ventured into the nearby forest, where he caught a fat rabbit and presented it to the king as a gift from his master, the Marquis of Carabas. Impressed by the cat's cunning, the king invited Jack and Whiskers to his palace, where they were treated to a grand feast in their honor. Determined to impress the king further, Whiskers whispered a plan to Jack, urging him to follow his lead. As they made their way to the river, Whiskers instructed Jack to undress and leap into the water, pretending to be drowning. Swiftly obeying, Jack cried out for help as Whiskers approached the passing carriage of the king. "Help save my master," cried Whiskers, tears glistening in his eyes as he pleaded with the king's carriage to stop. Moved by the cat's distress, the king ordered his guards to rescue Jack from the river and bring him to safety. Once ashore, Jack profusely thanked the king for his kindness and claimed to be the Marquis of Carabas, whose lands lay just beyond the riverbank. Intrigued by the prospect of befriending a wealthy nobleman, the king invited Jack and Whiskers to join him for a carriage ride, during which Whiskers laid out his masterful plan. As they passed by the fields and orchards, Whiskers instructed Jack to praise the bountiful harvests and fertile lands, claiming them as his own. And when they came upon a grand castle perched atop a hill, Whiskers declared it to be the Marquis of Carabas's magnificent estate. Enthralled by Jack's supposed wealth and status, the king bestowed upon him the hand of his daughter, the beautiful Princess Isabella, in marriage. And so Jack and Whiskers became the rulers of the kingdom, their cunning and bravery celebrated throughout the land. But as they settled into their new life of luxury and prestige, Jack could not help but feel a pang of guilt for deceiving the king and his subjects. Determined to make amends, he confessed the truth to Princess Isabella, expecting her to turn away from him in disgust. To his surprise, the princess smiled and embraced him, declaring that she loved him for who he was, not for his title or wealth. Touched by her kindness and understanding, Jack vowed to live the rest of his days as a humble man, guided by the wisdom and loyalty of his faithful friend, Whiskers the Cunning Cat. And so Jack and Princess Isabella ruled the kingdom with fairness and compassion, their love for each other and for Whiskers enduring for all eternity, a testament to the power of trust, friendship, and the magic of believing in oneself. Once upon a time, in a lush green meadow surrounded by towering forests, there lived three little pigs named Henry, Oliver, and Amelia. They were siblings, each with a heart full of dreams and a desire to build a home of their own. One sunny morning, their mother gathered them together and said, "My dear children, it's time for you to venture out into the world and build your own homes. But remember, whatever you do it with wisdom and care, for the big bad wolf lurks in the shadows, waiting to devour those who are not prepared." With their mother's words of warning echoing in their ears, the three little pigs set out on their journey. Henry, the eldest and the most practical of the siblings, decided to build his house out of sturdy bricks. This way, he said, no wolf will ever be able to blow it down. Oliver, the middle pig, had a more creative spirit. He chose to build his house out of timber and thatch, crafting it with care and attention to detail. "I may not have bricks like Henry," he said, "but I believe in the strength of my craftsmanship." Amelia, the youngest and the most adventurous of the three, had a different idea altogether. She decided to build her house out of colorful balloons, weaving them together to create a whimsical and floating abode. "Why be bound to the ground," she exclaimed, "when we can soar among the clouds?" As the days passed, the three little pigs worked tirelessly on their homes, each one pouring their heart and soul into their creation. And though their methods differed, they supported one another with love and encouragement, knowing that together they were stronger than any wolf that dared to challenge them. But as fate would have it, their peaceful existence was soon threatened by the arrival of a big bad wolf, his eyes gleaming with hunger as he prowled through the forest in search of his next meal. Upon spotting Henry's sturdy brick house, the wolf licked his lips in anticipation and approached the door with a wicked grin. Little pig, let me come in," he called out in a voice as smooth as silk. But Henry stood firm, his heart filled with courage as he replied, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. Enraged by the pig's defiance, the Wolf huffed and puffed and blew with all his might. But try as he might, he could not budge the sturdy brick walls that surrounded Henry's house. Defeated, the Wolf slunk away into the shadows, vowing to return another day. Next, the Wolf came upon Oliver's timber and thatch house, his mouth watering at the thought of the tender piggy within. Little pig, let me come in," he called out once more, his voice dripping with malice. But Oliver, though frightened, stood tall and replied, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." Undeterred, the Wolf summoned all his strength and blew a mighty gust of wind, hoping to topple the fragile walls of Oliver's house. But to his surprise, the house stood firm, its sturdy timber beams holding strong against the onslaught. Frustrated and hungry, the Wolf retreated once more, nursing his wounded pride as he plotted his next move. Finally, the Wolf came upon Amelia's colorful balloon house, floating gracefully in the sky like a beautiful dream. Little pig, let me come in," he called out, his voice tinged with desperation. But Amelia, with her head held high, replied, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." With a malicious gleam in his eye, the Wolf took a deep breath and blew with all his might, hoping to send the fragile balloons scattering to the winds. But much to his astonishment, the balloons held fast, the bright colors shimmering in the sunlight as they danced in the breeze. Realizing that he had met his match, the Wolf slunk away into the depths of the forest, defeated and hungry. And so the three wise pigs lived happily ever after in their cozy homes, their bond stronger than ever before. For they knew that with wisdom, creativity, and courage, they could overcome any challenge that came their way, and that together they were invincible against the forces of darkness that lurked in the shadows. In a distant kingdom nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived a handsome prince named Alexander. Despite his noble birth and the grandeur of his palace, Prince Alexander longed for a companion whose heart was as pure as the morning dew and whose spirit radiated kindness like the gentle glow of the moon. News of the prince's quest spread far and wide, reaching even the tiniest corners of neighboring realms. Suitors from distant lands, adorned in silks and jewels, journeyed to the prince's kingdom, hoping to win his favor. Yet, despite their beauty and wealth, none could capture the prince's heart. One stormy evening, as thunder rumbled and lightning danced across the sky, a humble maiden arrived at the palace gates seeking shelter from the tempest. Her name was Eleanor, and though her attire was simple and her hands calloused from honest work, there was a grace about her that caught the prince's eye. Impressed by her humility and warmth, Prince Alexander invited Eleanor to stay at the palace until the storm passed. As days turned into weeks, the prince and the maiden grew closer, their hearts intertwining like vines in a garden. Yet the prince's mother, Queen Isabella, remained skeptical. Determined to ensure her son's happiness, she devised a plan to test Eleanor's worthiness. Under the cover of darkness, Queen Isabella placed a single pea beneath 20 soft mattresses and 20 feather beds in the guest chamber where Eleanor slept. The next morning, the queen eagerly inquired about Eleanor's rest. To her surprise, Eleanor confessed that she had tossed and turned throughout the night, unable to find comfort in the lavish bed. Sensing the truth behind Eleanor's words, the prince knew that he had found his true love. With joy in his heart, Prince Alexander declared his intention to marry Eleanor, much to the delight of the kingdom's inhabitants. And so, amidst a grand celebration filled with music and laughter, the prince and the maiden exchanged vows of eternal love, that union blessed by the whispering winds and the twinkling stars above. As they embarked on their journey together, Prince Alexander and Princess Eleanor knew that their love was a rare and precious gift, one that would withstand the trials of time and the challenges of fate. And so, in the kingdom where dreams came true and love reigned supreme, they lived happily ever after, their hearts forever entwined like the branches of an ancient oak tree, standing strong against the tests of time. Once Once upon a time, in a quaint little cottage nestled at the edge of a bustling village, an elderly couple decided to bake a gingerbread man. They mixed flour, sugar, and spices, shaping the dough into the form of a little man. With care and love, they placed him in the oven to bake. As the sweet scent of gingerbread filled the air, a magical spark danced across the room, and to their astonishment, the gingerbread man sprang to life. With a mischievous grin on his face, he leapt off the baking tray and dashed out of the open window, shouting, "Run, run, as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." The elderly couple, startled by this unexpected turn of events, watched in amazement as the gingerbread man sprinted through the village, his tiny legs carrying him swiftly across fields and meadows. Along the way, he encountered various creatures: a sly fox, a hungry cow, and a clever farmer, all eager to taste the delicious treat. But the gingerbread man, quick-witted and fleet-footed, outsmarted them all, taunting them with his playful refrain, "Run, run, as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." As the sun began to set and the shadows grew long, the gingerbread man found himself at the edge of a wide river, its rushing waters churning beneath him. Undeterred by the obstacle before him, he called out to a friendly fox who lounged by the riverbank, his eyes gleaming with cunning. "Dear fox," pleaded the gingerbread man, "won't you help me cross the river? I promise to reward you with a taste of my delicious sweetness." The fox, his mouth watering at the thought of the gingerbread man's delectable flavor, agreed to help. He offered to carry the gingerbread man across the river on his back, assuring him that he wouldn't be tempted to take a bite. But as they reached the middle of the river, the fox's hunger got the better of him. With a swift motion, he tossed the gingerbread man into the air, snapping his jaws shut as he leapt forward to catch him. Yet the gingerbread man was too quick for the fox. He somersaulted through the air, landing safely on the opposite bank. With a triumphant cry, he shouted once more, "I've outrun you, sly fox. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." And so, with his pursuers left behind and his freedom secured, the gingerbread man continued on his merry way, disappearing into the golden light of the setting sun. Though he may have been made of flour and sugar, his spirit was as boundless as the open sky, forever running free and forever remembered in the hearts of those who heard his tale. In the bustling city of Baghdad, there lived a poor woodcutter named Ali Baba. One day, while he was out in the forest gathering firewood, he stumbled upon a group of thieves loading their ill-gotten treasures into a hidden cave. He overheard their secret password, "Open Sesame," and watched as they disappeared into the darkness of the cave. Curiosity piqued and heart pounding with excitement, Ali Baba waited until the thieves had gone before approaching the cave. With trembling hands, he whispered the magical words, "Open Sesame," and to his amazement, the cave entrance swung open, revealing a vast chamber filled with glittering jewels and precious treasures. Ali Baba wasted no time in filling his pockets with gold and jewels, but as he turned to leave, he heard the sound of approaching footsteps. Terrified, he retreated deeper into the cave until he stumbled upon a hidden alcove, where he watched in awe as the thieves returned, unaware of his presence. Listening carefully, Ali Baba learned the secret of the cave and the thieves' plans to return the next night. With a cunning plan forming in his mind, he made his way back to the city, eager to share his discovery with his brother, Qasim. But Qasim, driven by greed and envy, betrayed Ali Baba's trust and attempted to enter the cave himself. When he forgot the magical words to open the cave, he was discovered by the thieves and met a tragic end. Fearing for his own safety, Ali Baba sought the help of a wise woman in the village, who advised him to seek the assistance of his loyal servant, Morgiana. Together, they devised a plan to outsmart the thieves and claim the treasure as their own. When the thieves returned to the cave, Morgiana disguised herself as a poor traveler and pretended to be lost. Using her wit and charm, she gained the thieves' trust and learned their secrets, including the location of their hidden lair. Armed with this knowledge, Ali Baba and Morgiana devised a plan to outsmart the thieves once and for all. With Morgiana's quick thinking and Ali Baba's bravery, they defeated the thieves and claimed the treasure as their own. Grateful for Morgiana's loyalty and bravery, Ali Baba rewarded her with riches beyond her wildest dreams, and together they lived happily ever after, their bond stronger than ever before. And so the legend of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves lived on, a tale of courage, cunning, and the triumph of good over evil. In a kingdom nestled between emerald forests and shimmering lakes, there lived a gentle princess named Alara, with hair as golden as the sun and eyes as blue as the clearest sky. Alara's heart overflowed with kindness and compassion for all creatures great and small. One day, as the kingdom prepared for the grand celebration of the princess's coming of age, a sinister plot unfolded behind the gilded walls of the palace. The wicked sorceress, known as Malvina, disguised herself as a trusted servant and conspired to steal Alara's rightful place as heir to the throne. Under the cover of darkness, Malvina cast a powerful spell, transforming Alara into a graceful swan and banishing her to the depths of the enchanted lake that bordered the kingdom. With a flick of her wand, she assumed Alara's likeness and took her place at the royal court, her heart filled with malice and deceit. Alone and frightened, Alara found solace amidst the tranquil waters of the lake, her graceful wings carrying her across its surface with ease. Yet, despite her plight, her spirit remained unbroken, her heart filled with hope for the day when she would reclaim her rightful place as princess. Meanwhile, within the walls of the palace, Malvina reveled in her newfound power, her every word and gesture commanding the loyalty of the kingdom's subjects. Yet, amidst the splendor of the court, a humble stable boy named Finn remained steadfast in his belief that something was amiss. With a determined heart and unwavering courage, Finn set out to uncover the truth behind the mysterious disappearance of Princess Alara through hidden passageways and secret corridors. He delved deep into the heart of the palace, his keen eyes and sharp wit guiding him ever closer to the answers he sought. And so, as the day of the grand celebration drew near, Finn stumbled upon a hidden chamber within the palace walls, a chamber adorned with ancient tapestries and shimmering crystals. And there, amidst the flickering candlelight, he beheld a sight that filled him with both awe and dread. For within the chamber stood Malvina, her true form revealed in all its sinister glory, and beside her lay the enchanted form of Princess Alara, her delicate wings folded against her chest like a cloak of feathers. With a cry of alarm, Finn confronted Malvina, his voice ringing out with defiance and determination. Release Princess Alara from your wicked spell, foul sorceress, or face the consequences of your treachery. Enraged by Finn's boldness, Malvina unleashed a flurry of dark magic, her spells crackling through the air like lightning in a storm. Yet, undeterred by the sorceress's power, Finn stood his ground, his courage bolstered by the knowledge that he fought not only for Alara's freedom, but for the fate of the entire kingdom. With a wave of his hand and a whispered incantation, Finn broke the enchantment that bound Alara to her swan form, her true essence shining forth like a beacon of light in the darkness. And as she emerged from the cocoon of magic that had ensnared her, her eyes met Finn's with a gratitude that transcended words. Together, Finn and Alara confronted Malvina, their combined strength and determination overpowering the sorceress's dark magic. With a final burst of light, Malvina was vanquished, her wicked schemes undone by the unyielding power of love and bravery. And so, with Malvina's defeat, peace was restored to the kingdom of Evermore, and Princess Alara reclaimed her rightful place as heir to the throne. And as the people of the kingdom rejoiced in their newfound freedom, Finn and Alara stood side by side, their hearts bound together by the unbreakable bonds of friendship and love. And thus concludes the tale of the Swan Princess, a timeless parable of courage, loyalty, and the enduring power of love to overcome even the darkest of sorrows. In a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering pines, there lived a brave young lad named Oliver. With a heart as bold as a lion and eyes as bright as the morning sun, Oliver longed for adventure and excitement beyond the familiar borders of his home. One crisp autumn day, as the leaves danced in the breeze and the air hung with the promise of change, Oliver set out on a journey into the heart of the enchanted forest that bordered the village. Armed with naught but his wits and a sense of curiosity as boundless as the sky, he ventured forth into the unknown. As Oliver traversed the winding paths and shadowed glens of the forest, he stumbled upon a hidden clearing bathed in the soft glow of twilight. And there, amidst a carpet of moss and fallen leaves, he beheld a sight that filled him with wonder and awe. A magic lantern, adorned with intricate designs and shimmering with an otherworldly light. Drawn to the lantern's ethereal glow, Oliver reached out a trembling hand and grasped its ornate handle, feeling a surge of energy course through his veins like a river of starlight. With a sense of anticipation building within his chest, he gave the lantern a gentle shake, and to his amazement, a wisp of smoke emerged from its depths, coalescing into the form of a wise and ancient spirit. "Who summons me from my slumber?" boomed the spirit, his voice echoing through the clearing like distant thunder. "Speak, brave traveler, and make your wish known." With a heart pounding with excitement, Oliver spoke of his desire for adventure and discovery, of his longing to explore the world beyond the confines of his village. And with a nod of approval, the spirit granted Oliver his wish, bestowing upon him the gift of the magic lantern and the power to unlock its hidden wonders. With the lantern in hand and the spirit as his guide, Oliver embarked on a journey unlike any he had ever known, his path illuminated by the gentle glow of the lantern's light. Through dense forests and misty moors, across shimmering lakes and towering mountains, he traveled far and wide, his heart brimming with excitement and wonder at the sights that lay before him. Yet, amidst the beauty of his travels, Oliver soon found himself faced with trials and challenges that tested his courage and resolve. From treacherous cliffs to dark and foreboding caves, he encountered dangers both natural and supernatural, each one more formidable than the last. But with the aid of the magic lantern and the wisdom of the spirit, Oliver persevered, his determination unwavering in the face of adversity. And with each trial overcome, he grew stronger and more confident, his spirit shining as bright as the lantern's radiant glow. At long last, after many months of travel and adventure, Oliver returned to his village, his heart filled with tales of bravery and discovery. And as he shared his experiences with the villagers gathered in the town square, their eyes sparkled with wonder and admiration for the young lad who had dared to chase his dreams. And so, with the magic lantern as his guide and the spirit as his companion, Oliver continued on his journey, his thirst for adventure leading into new and wondrous realms beyond the borders of his homeland. And though his travels may have been fraught with danger and uncertainty, he knew that with courage and determination, anything was possible. And thus concludes the tale of the magic lantern, a timeless parable of courage, curiosity, and the boundless wonders that await those who dare to follow their dreams. In the kingdom of Crystallonia, where winter reigned eternal and icicles glistened like diamonds in the sunlight, there lived a gentle princess named Aurora. With hair as white as snow and eyes as blue as the frozen lakes, Aurora's heart overflowed with kindness and warmth, even amidst the icy chill that enveloped her homeland. Yet, lurking beyond the borders of Crystallonia, there existed a realm shrouded in darkness, the domain of the Ice Queen, a powerful sorceress whose heart had turned to ice long ago. From her frozen palace of glistening frost, the Ice Queen cast a shadow over the land, spreading her icy grip far and wide. One fateful winter's night, as the Aurora danced across the sky in a kaleidoscope of colors, Aurora ventured into the enchanted forest that surrounded the kingdom. But as Aurora journeyed deeper into the forest, she found herself ensnared by a blanket of shimmering snowflakes, each one more beautiful yet more treacherous than the last. With each step, the cold crept into her bones, threatening to extinguish the warmth that dwelled within her heart. As the night grew darker and the forest grew colder, Aurora stumbled upon a sight that filled her with both wonder and dread. A towering palace made entirely of ice, its spires reaching toward the heavens like crystalline daggers. Within the icy halls of the palace, Aurora beheld the Ice Queen, her regal figure draped in robes of frost and her eyes gleaming with a cold, unyielding light. With a voice like the whisper of the north wind, the Ice Queen beckoned Aurora closer, her gaze filled with a strange mixture of longing and sorrow. "Welcome, dear princess," intoned the Ice Queen, her words echoing through the frozen chamber. "I have watched you from afar, your warmth a beacon of light in this icy realm. Yet, even the warmest heart can be chilled by the frost of loneliness." Confused yet intrigued by the Ice Queen's words, Aurora listened as the sorceress spoke of a powerful magic that could dull even the coldest of hearts. And though Aurora's own heart overflowed with compassion, she knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with peril. Undeterred by the dangers that lay ahead, Aurora set forth on a quest to break the icy grip that held the Ice Queen captive, her heart brimming with hope and determination. Through frozen forests and treacherous mountains, she journeyed onward, guided by the flickering light of the northern stars. At long last, Aurora reached the heart of the Ice Queen's domain, a towering glacier that loomed like a silent sentinel against the frozen horizon. With a deep breath, she summoned forth all the warmth and light that dwelled within her, casting a radiant glow that pierced through the icy darkness. As the light enveloped the glacier, cracks began to form upon its frozen surface, the ancient magic of the Ice Queen's spell beginning to weaken beneath the strength of Aurora's unwavering resolve. With tears in her eyes, the Ice Queen gazed upon Aurora with newfound understanding, her once frozen heart now ablaze with the fiery light of love and acceptance. And as the last vestiges of the Ice Queen's spell faded into the ether, Aurora reached out to her, their hands clasped together in a bond forged from the unbreakable strength of friendship and forgiveness. From that day forth, the kingdom of Crystallonia shone brighter than ever before, its icy landscapes thawed by the warmth of Aurora's compassion and the newfound kindness of the Ice Queen. And as the seasons changed and the snow gave way to fields of vibrant flowers, the tale of the Ice Princess and the frozen heart lived on as a testament to the enduring power of love, forgiveness, and the unbreakable bonds that unite us all. In the quaint village of Oakville, nestled amidst rolling hills and verdant meadows, there lived a talented musician named Amadeus. With his skillful hands and melodious tunes, Amadeus enchanted the hearts of all who heard him, filling the air with the sweet strains of his music. Yet, despite his remarkable talent, Amadeus remained humble and kind-hearted, sharing his gift with all who sought solace in the beauty of his melodies. One fateful day, as the sun cast its golden rays upon the cobblestone streets of Oakville, a strange occurrence befell the village. A horde of mischievous creatures, with ears as keen as foxes and tails as swift as the wind, descended upon Oakville, wreaking havoc and chaos wherever they went. The villagers, in a state of distress, sought a solution to rid their homes of the troublesome creatures. But try as they might, their efforts were in vain, for the creatures were cunning and elusive, slipping through their grasp like shadows in the night. In their hour of need, the villagers turned to Amadeus, their hearts heavy with despair. "Oh, great musician," they pleaded, their voices filled with desperation, "will you not use your wondrous melodies to drive away these pests that plague our village?" Moved by their plight, Amadeus took up his trusty flute, crafted from the finest oak wood and imbued with the magic of his music. With a solemn nod, he accepted their request, knowing full well the dangers that lay ahead. As dusk descended upon Oakville, Amadeus stood at the heart of the village square, his flute poised and ready to weave its enchanting melodies. With a gentle breath, he began to play, the notes cascading through the air like sparkling diamonds in a moonlit sky. At the sound of Amadeus's music, the creatures emerged from their hiding places, their curious eyes drawn to the mesmerizing melody that filled the night. Entranced by the enchanting strains, they gathered around Amadeus, their tails swaying in time with the rhythm of his flute. And so with each haunting melody that emanated from Amadeus's flute, the creatures followed him through the winding streets of Oakville, their mischievous antics forgotten in the allure of his music. Through fields of golden wheat and beneath starlit skies, they danced and frolicked to the ethereal tunes that echoed through the night. Yet, as the first light of dawn illuminated the horizon, Amadeus knew that his task was nearing its end. With a heavy heart, he played his final melody, bidding farewell to the creatures who had become his unlikely companions. And as the last echoes of his flute faded into the morning air, the creatures vanished into the shadows from whence they came, their departure marked by a soft rustling of leaves and a whisper of gratitude. With the village of Oakville free from the clutches of the mischievous creatures, the villagers gathered to thank Amadeus for his bravery and selflessness. And though he may have been but a simple musician, Amadeus had proven that true magic lies not in spells or incantations, but in the power of music to unite hearts and mend the spirit. And so the legend of the melody weaver of Oakville lived on, a testament to the enduring power of kindness, courage, and the enchanting melodies that echo through the ages. In a cozy village nestled among rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived a humble shoemaker named Oliver and his wife, Lily. They worked tirelessly day and night, crafting shoes of the finest quality, yet struggled to make ends meet, barely earning enough to feed themselves. One frosty winter's night, as Oliver and Lily sat by the crackling fire in their modest cottage, they heard a soft tapping at the window. To their astonishment, they discovered a group of tiny creatures, no taller than a thumb, huddled together in the snow. Moved by compassion, Oliver and Lily invited the creatures into their home, offering them warmth and shelter from the biting cold. Grateful for their kindness, the creatures revealed themselves to be magical cobblers, skilled in the art of shoemaking. With their tiny hands and nimble fingers, the cobblers set to work, stitching and hammering with precision and care. By morning, the cobblers had crafted the most exquisite shoes the village had ever seen, each pair more beautiful than the last. Word of the magical cobblers and their wondrous creations spread far and wide, drawing customers from near and far to Oliver and Lily's humble shop. With the help of the cobblers, their small business flourished, and soon they were known throughout the land for their exceptional workmanship. But as their fortunes improved, Oliver and Lily remained humble and grateful, never forgetting the kindness of the cobblers who had helped them in their time of need. Determined to repay their generosity, they continued to welcome the cobblers into their home, sharing their food and warmth with their diminutive friends. And so the cobblers and the shoemakers worked together in harmony, their friendship a testament to the magic of kindness and compassion. Though they faced many challenges and hardships along the way, their bond remained unbreakable, a shining example of the wonders that can be achieved when we lend a helping hand to those in need. And thus the legend of the magic cobblers lived on, a tale of friendship, generosity, and the enduring power of magic in the hearts of those who believe. In a picturesque village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush green meadows, there lived a young shepherd boy named Ethan. Ethan was tasked with watching over the village's flock of sheep, a responsibility he took very seriously. However, young Ethan had a mischievous streak, and he often grew bored as he watched the sheep graze in the meadow. To amuse himself, he would call out, "Wolf, Wolf, the Wolf is coming," and laugh as the villagers came running to his aid, only to find no Wolf in sight. At first, the villagers were understanding, chiding Ethan gently for his playful pranks. But as the days passed and Ethan continued to cry Wolf, their patience began to wear thin. One day, as Ethan watched the sheep grazing in the meadow, a shadow fell over the village and a fearsome Wolf emerged from the forest, its eyes gleaming with hunger. Terrified, Ethan cried out for help. But this time, when the villagers heard his cries, they ignored him, believing it to be yet another one of his tricks. Desperate and alone, Ethan watched in horror as the Wolf attacked the flock, scattering the sheep and leaving chaos and destruction in its wake. In the aftermath of the attack, Ethan realized the consequences of his actions and the pain he had caused by crying Wolf. Filled with remorse, Ethan approached the village elders and begged for their forgiveness, vowing to never again cry Wolf unless it was truly necessary. Though the villagers were hesitant to trust him again, they recognized the sincerity in Ethan's words and agreed to give him another chance. From that day forward, Ethan tended to the village's flock with care and diligence, his days of crying Wolf long behind him. And as he watched over the sheep in the peaceful meadow, he reflected on the valuable lesson he had learned, that honesty, trust, and responsibility are virtues to be cherished and upheld, for they are the foundation upon which true friendships and communities are built. In the ancient city of Baghdad, there lived a brave and adventurous sailor named Sinbad. Born into a family of merchants, Sinbad grew up hearing tales of distant lands and mysterious creatures, filling his heart with a longing for adventure beyond the horizon. From a young age, Sinbad set sail on his father's ship, traveling far and wide across the vast expanse of the sea. With each voyage, he encountered new challenges and discovered untold wonders, earning a reputation as one of the greatest sailors in all the land. But it was on his 7th voyage that Sinbad's courage and ingenuity would truly be put to the test. Setting sail from the bustling port of Basra, Sinbad and his crew embarked on a journey that would take them to the farthest reaches of the known world. Their first stop was the island of Serendib, where they encountered a tribe of fierce warriors and a magnificent palace filled with treasures beyond imagination. Though tempted by the riches that lay before them, Sinbad and his crew resisted the lure of greed and sailed on, their hearts set on even greater adventures. The next destination was the Island of Giants, where towering creatures roamed the land and threatened to crush them beneath their massive feet. With quick thinking and clever tactics, Sinbad and his crew managed to outsmart the giants and escape with their lives, their courage undimmed by the dangers that surrounded them. As their journey continued, Sinbad and his crew faced storms and sea monsters, treacherous waters, and hidden reefs. But through it all, they remained steadfast and determined, their bond of friendship growing stronger with each passing trial. Finally, after many months at sea, they arrived at a mysterious island shrouded in mist and legend. Here, they discovered the ruins of an ancient civilization and a temple guarded by fearsome beasts. Undeterred, Sinbad ventured forth alone, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within. Inside the temple, Sinbad discovered a hidden chamber filled with treasures beyond imagination, jewels and gold, artifacts of untold value, and a magical lamp said to hold the power of the gods. But as Sinbad reached out to claim the lamp, he was confronted by a powerful sorcerer who guarded the treasure with his life. With a mighty battle of wills and magic, Sinbad managed to defeat the sorcerer and claim the lamp as his own, his heart filled with triumph and wonder. With the lamp in his possession, Sinbad and his crew set sail for home, their hearts light with the knowledge of the adventures that lay behind them and the promise of new horizons yet to come. And so the legend of Sinbad the Sailor lived on, a tale of courage and perseverance, of friendship and loyalty, and of the enduring spirit of adventure that burns bright in the hearts of all who dare to dream. In the heart of a dense jungle, where ancient trees whispered secrets to the wind and vibrant flowers bloomed in abundance, there dwelled a majestic tiger named Tobias and a tiny squirrel named Sophie. Tobias, with his golden fur and piercing eyes, ruled over the jungle with power and grace, while Sophie, though small in stature, possessed a spirit as bold as the sun. One bright morning, as the jungle awoke to the symphony of birdsong and rustling leaves, Sophie found herself in a precarious predicament. While frolicking amidst the roots of a towering banyan tree, she stumbled upon a tangled mass of vines, ensnaring her delicate paws and trapping her in a web of greenery. Struggling against the vines, Sophie squeaked for help, her tiny voice lost amidst the vast expanse of the jungle. But unbeknownst to her, Tobias, the mighty tiger, prowled nearby, his keen senses attuned to the slightest sound. Hearing Sophie's cries, Tobias paused in his tracks, his curiosity piqued by the faint whimperings that echoed through the foliage. With a mighty leap, he bounded through the underbrush, his powerful frame cutting through the dense jungle with ease. Upon reaching the source of the commotion, Tobias beheld Sophie, her tiny form ensnared in the tangled vines. Though his instinct urged him to ignore the plight of the small creature, A spark of compassion stirred within his heart, a remnant of a time-long past, when he too had been vulnerable and in need of aid. With gentle yet determined claws, Tobias set to work, carefully unraveling the vines that ensnared Sophie's delicate limbs. With each careful tug, the web of greenery loosened its grip, until at last, Sophie was freed from her leafy prison. Grateful beyond measure, Sophie scampered up to the tiger's side, her eyes sparkling with admiration and gratitude. "Thank you, noble Tobias, for coming to my aid," she chirped, her voice filled with genuine appreciation. Tobias, though unused to such displays of affection, found himself touched by Sophie's gratitude, a warmth blossoming within his chest. "There was nothing," he rumbled, his voice gruff yet tinged with kindness. "Any creature, no matter how small, deserves help in their time of need." And so the unlikely pair forged a bond of friendship amidst the verdant beauty of the jungle, their differences bridged by mutual respect and admiration. Together they roamed the forest, embarking on adventures both great and small, their laughter ringing through the trees like a melody of joy. And as they traversed the dense undergrowth, Tobias and Sophie learned that true strength lies not in size or power, but in the willingness to lend a helping hand to those in need. And though they may have been an odd pair, a majestic tiger and a tiny squirrel, their friendship stood as a testament to the enduring power of compassion and kindness. And thus concludes the tale of the majestic tiger and the tiny squirrel, a timeless parable of friendship, empathy, and the extraordinary bonds that unite us all. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled by the shimmering shores of the great ocean, there lived a humble lad named Kale. Kale was known throughout the village for his remarkable skill in fishing, inherited from his father, who had taught him the secrets of the sea since he was but a wee lad. One fateful morning, as the sun kissed the horizon with hues of gold and crimson, Kale set out to the sea with his trusty fishing rod in hand. As Kale cast his line into the depths, a sudden tug jolted his rod, nearly sending him tumbling into the briny waters. With all his might, he reeled in his catch, expecting to find a bountiful fish. But to his astonishment, instead of a fish, he beheld a magnificent brass bottle, adorned with intricate patterns that glimmered under the sun's gentle caress. Curiosity piqued, Kale uncorked the bottle, and in a swirl of mist and magic, a towering figure emerged, a spirit of the sea, bound within the confines of the ancient vessel. "Thank you, kind lad, for releasing me from my prison," boomed the spirit, his voice echoing like distant thunder. "As a token of my gratitude, I shall grant you 3 wishes. Choose wisely, for your heart's desires shall be made manifest." Kale's eyes widened with wonder at the prospect of such extraordinary power. Yet, being a boy of simple means and noble heart, he pondered not for his own gain, but for the welfare of his village. "I wish for an endless bounty of fish to feed my village, so that no one shall ever go hungry again," declared Kale, his voice resolute with compassion. The spirit nodded, and with a wave of his spectral hand, the waters teemed with an abundance of fish, shimmering like jewels in the sunlight. Kale's heart swelled with joy as he witnessed the grateful smiles of his fellow villagers, their bellies filled with nourishment and hope. "For your second wish, my young friend, what do you desire?" inquired the spirit, his eyes gleaming with admiration for Kale's selflessness. Kale pondered deeply, his thoughts drifting to his aging mother, whose health had been waning with each passing day. With a determined gaze, he spoke, "I wish for my mother to be granted good health and happiness for the rest of her days, free from pain and sorrow." Once more, the spirit granted Kale's wish as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting a golden glow upon the village. Kale returned home to find his mother radiant with newfound vigor, her laughter echoing through their humble cottage like a melody of joy. With only one wish remaining, Kale felt a pang of uncertainty. He could have anything his heart desired, yet he found himself torn between his own desires and the greater good of his village. But as he gazed upon the twinkling stars reflected in the tranquil waters, a newfound resolve stirred within his soul. "I wish for the spirit of the sea to be released from his eternal bondage, to roam the vast oceans freely once more, unbound by the chains of his imprisonment," declared Kale, his voice unwavering with conviction. Touched by Kel's noble spirit and selfless deeds, the spirit smiled, his essence merging with the boundless expanse of the sea. In a dazzling display of light and color, he vanished into the depths, leaving behind a legacy of gratitude and wonder. And so, with the dawn of a new day, Kel returned to his life as a humble fisher boy, his heart brimming with the joy of selflessness and the knowledge that true magic lies not in wishes granted but in the kindness of one's deeds. And as he cast his line into the endless expanse of the sea, he knew that no matter where his journey led, the spirit of the sea would forever watch over him, a silent guardian of the waves. And thus concludes the tale of the fisher boy and the spirit of the sea, a timeless parable of compassion, courage, and the boundless magic that resides within the depths of the human heart. In the bustling city of Agrabah, nestled amidst towering minarets and bustling marketplaces, there lived a young orphan named Aladdin. Despite his humble circumstances, Aladdin dreamed of a life filled with adventure and excitement. One day, while wandering the streets of the city, Aladdin stumbled upon a mysterious old lamp nestled among the dusty treasures of a market stall. Intrigued by its ornate design and whispered tales of magic, Aladdin purchased a lamp with the last of his coin and took it home to polish and admire. To his astonishment, as Aladdin rubbed the lamp to clean away the grime, a cloud of smoke billowed forth, and a powerful genie emerged, his eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom and boundless power. "Master," said the genie, bowing low before Aladdin, "I am the genie of the lamp, bound to grant you 3 wishes. Choose wisely, for your wishes will shape your destiny." Overwhelmed by the genie's words, Aladdin's mind raced with possibilities. But as he gazed upon the lamp's shimmering surface, he knew that his first wish must be to escape from poverty and provide a better life for himself and his beloved mother. With a confident smile, Aladdin wished for wealth and prosperity beyond his wildest dreams. In an instant, the dusty hovel in which he lived transformed into a magnificent palace, its walls adorned with jewels and treasures of every kind. Overjoyed by his newfound fortune, Aladdin wasted no time in sharing his wealth with the people of Agrabah, offering food and shelter to the needy and spreading joy and laughter wherever he went. But as the days passed and Aladdin grew accustomed to his life of luxury, he began to feel a longing in his heart for something more. For despite his wealth and power, he knew that true happiness could not be found in material possessions alone. And so, with his second wish, Aladdin asked the genie to bring him love, a love that was pure and true, and would fill his heart with joy and contentment. In response to Aladdin's wish, the genie conjured forth the image of a beautiful princess named Jasmine, her eyes sparkling with kindness and grace. Enchanted by her beauty and spirit, Aladdin knew that he had found the love he had been searching for. With the genie's help, Aladdin embarked on a quest to win Princess Jasmine's heart, braving perilous challenges and overcoming daunting obstacles along the way. And though their journey was fraught with danger, their love only grew stronger with each passing day, until at last they stood together beneath the starlit sky, their hearts united as one. But even as Aladdin basked in the glow of his newfound happiness, he could not shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the depths of his soul. For he knew that his third and final wish would soon be upon him, and he feared the consequences of wielding such great power. With a heavy heart, Aladdin made his final wish to set the genie free from his eternal servitude, allowing him to roam the world as a free spirit once more. In a blaze of light and magic, the genie's chains were broken, and he soared into the sky, his laughter echoing through the night like music. And as Aladdin and Princess Jasmine watched him disappear into the horizon, they knew that their love would endure for all eternity, a beacon of hope and joy in a world filled with wonder and magic. In a lush meadow, surrounded by tall trees and fragrant flowers, there lived a diligent turtle named Terence and a swift-footed rabbit named Remy. Terence was known throughout the meadow for his cautious nature and steady pace, while Remy boasted of his unmatched speed, often leaving a trail of dust in his wake. One sunny morning, As the meadow bloomed with the colors of spring, a grand race was announced, promising glory and admiration to the victor. Excitement buzzed through the air as animals of all shapes and sizes gathered to witness the spectacle. Remy, confident in his swiftness, bounded about with restless energy, while Terence approached the starting line with a calm and composed demeanor. The race began with a mighty cheer, and Remy dashed ahead with lightning speed, his legs a blur of motion as he surged ahead of his competitors. Terence, however, remained steadfast, his determined gaze fixed on the winding path that lay before him. As the race progressed, Remy's lead seemed insurmountable, his swift strides carrying him farther and farther ahead. Yet, to the amazement of the onlookers, Terence maintained a steady pace, never faltering in his determination to reach the finish line. Along the way, Remy grew overconfident, pausing to taunt his fellow racers and revel in his imminent victory. Meanwhile, Terence pressed onward, his steady progress fueled by unwavering resolve and a keen awareness of his surroundings. As the final stretch of the race came into view, Remy found himself within reach of the finish line, his heart pounding with the thrill of impending triumph. But just as victory seemed assured, a sudden obstacle loomed before him, a treacherous ravine, spanned only by a narrow bridge. With a gasp of horror, Remy skidded to a halt, his momentum nearly sending him tumbling into the abyss below. Panic surged through his veins as he frantically searched for a way to cross the ravine and claim victory. Meanwhile, as Terence approached the ravine, he paused for a moment to assess the situation. Sensing the danger that lay ahead, he weighed his options carefully, his cautious nature guiding him to tread with care. With slow and steady steps, Terence traversed the narrow bridge, his shell providing him with stability and balance. And as he reached the other side, the crowd erupted into cheers, their admiration for Terence's resilience and determination echoing throughout the meadow. In the end, it was not the swiftness of Remy nor the agility of his fellow competitors that won the race, but the steadfast resolve and cautious perseverance of Terence the turtle. And as he crossed the finish line, a smile of quiet satisfaction graced his features, knowing that true victory lies not in speed alone, but in a steady pursuit of one's goals. From that day forth, Terence and Remy became unlikely friends, their differences bridged by mutual respect and admiration. And as they roamed the meadow together, they shared tales of their adventures, each marveling at the unique strengths that they possessed. And thus concludes the tale of the cautious turtle and the swift rabbit, a timeless parable of perseverance, humility, and the enduring power of determination.